just getting ready to enter Terra Nova Park. Terra Nova National Park. It's unfortunate, I guess, that the Trans-Canada Highway does run right through the park. Speed limit is reduced to 90. I guess there's other places in the world that highways run through parks, but it would be wonderful if it was a reroute around the park, because number one, the speed is reduced to 90, and number two, it's a park. It doesn't make sense to have a highway going through it, especially a national park. Number three, the extra wildlife that tends to hang around the park. Hence the reason why the speed limit is slow is down to 90, I guess. But you can see also the other problem here. There's very little passing zones in this park. It seems like all the passing lanes are going downhill. See this one here? Oddly. And so you have commercial traffic, heavy traffic, coming through the park, and they obviously have to drive slower, especially in hills, and it impedes the traffic. I mean, you know, those vehicles back there were definitely not doing 90 kilometers an hour, so sometimes it takes a long time to get through the park. It's about a half hour at the speed limit to travel through this park. That's at 90 kilometers an hour. And if you're following a heavy laden tractor trailer, and with the lack of passing lanes, especially downhill again, nothing uphill, all downhill passing, that don't make sense. Obviously the trucks are going to be able to travel faster downhill. And so there you have it. It doesn't make sense, so, but that's just my little spiel today about highways through parks. So there's many different issues, there's many reasons why it shouldn't be, and not so many reasons why there should be, but I guess the highway was probably there before the park, I'm not sure, or maybe the park was implemented after, I don't know, or before, I can't say for sure, but I do know traffic is held up big time on this road, and so if you're following a tractor trailer and you can't get around them, you can be delayed quite some time to travel that distance through the park. Also, I'd like to make note at this time, if you notice the side of the road is extra wide on either side, and that's possibly regulation due to it being a park and a highway going through it. But if those two sides were combined together, that would make an extra lane. So if they took away that big, I guess it's a biking lane or a walking lane or a hiking lane, if they remove that, there could be 3 lanes of traffic easy through this park, and have designated passing lanes all the way through. Maybe it makes too much sense, I don't know, like I say. Speed limit is not the big issue. I mean, 90 kilometers, fine if that's what it is for a park, but a lot of vehicles, like I said, a lot of vehicles get tied up behind the traffic, the commercial traffic. I travel this road a lot, and this is one of the pet peeves that people have about this park. It's a beautiful park, Terra Nova Park, but and I don't know what it's like in other provinces through Canada and in the world, but not the greatest idea, I don't think, but I certainly would like to hear some input on it. I think there's more reasons to not have it going through a park, or change the way it's designed to allow for easier flow of regular traffic and commercial traffic. So if you have an opinion or some information on some other province or territory, or in fact in the world, send me a message. Send me a message and let me know. We're approaching a steep hill now. I'll just give you an example. And you see the double line is sort of wore out from the winter, I guess. There's a passing lane right here. I think it's one of the very few passing lanes going uphill. Most of them are down. As soon as you start going downhill on a good straight, you have a passing lane. And there the passing lane ends. Halfway is the hill. Makes sense? Well, I guess there's a blind hill on top, so you got to get people over to the right-hand side quicker than normal. Okay, I'm now coming up on some slower traffic in the eastbound lane. You see there's pockets of traffic in the westbound lane also. Not being held back by traffic, of course, but by commercial traffic, I should say. But certainly you can see them clustered together much more than usual. Just past 60 kilometers home, we're coming into the warden's office here. Excuse me. Let's slow this down. But you can see that trailer up ahead now. Obviously in the hills he has to slow down. So just a prime example of how traffic can build up. I've seen it as high as 30, 35 cars behind the tractor trailer, or 1 or 2 or even 3 tractor trailers. You know, it's not, you don't travel alone sometimes, they travel in groups sometimes. And yeah, it's pretty congested traffic in just one little area because of the way the roads are designed, the speed limit, and the way the roads are painted with allowing for vehicles to pass on a downhill, on a downgrade. Mostly the bulk of the roads. Here we go again, say, going downhill. I mean, that tractor trailer has no problem getting up to 90 kilometers an hour on a downhill, and it don't take that long. And on the flat stick and maintain 100, 110 typically, unless they're really heavy laden or they got extra wide load or a dangerous load. Obviously they're going to be taking their time, and they'll be well flagged and have vehicles ahead and then back to mark the danger zone. But other than that, you know, they can maintain the speed properly, but when they get into a grade, when they start climbing a grade, they lose speed very quickly. Then it becomes very frustrating to the traveling tourist, or just the average citizen of the province traveling the highway. Again, here's another passing lane going uphill, but it'll cut off pretty quickly. Right there. So I'll slow down. I must say this guy wasn't doing too bad. Been following him the past 5 minutes or so anyway, but as you can see, we are down to 50 kilometers an hour, and he had a pretty good run at that hill, and it wasn't one of the worst ones in the park. Got his hazard lights on now because he knows he's going much too slow for traffic. He's down to about 48 kilometers now. I think you'll be able to maintain that speed now. Seems like he found a gear that's comfortable for him, and we're losing the steep grade now. We're getting a gradual leveling, but it's still going uphill. And he's now at 56 kilometers an hour. Have a passing lane once again, but as you can see, there's oncoming traffic, so it's typically is a catch-22 sometimes. And just as the vehicles are clear, we are into a no passing zone once again. So a bit frustrating, but well, not for me, but been doing this as years. But he's even going to the side of the road, probably encouraging me to pass, but it's not a passing lane, so I have to stay where I am. Now at the top of the grade, he managed to get 70 kilometers an hour. And pretty soon they'll turn off his hazard lights. Downhill. Another passing lane and a turn. Not the best place to pass, but they've made some accommodations, but I think it can be done much better for easier flow of traffic. That's a really wide walking lane or side lane, and you can actually pull your vehicle right off that road there and still be on asphalt. I bet even that rig could get out right off the road and have all these tires still on asphalt. It's that wide. So you can imagine on either side how wide, how much asphalt you got there that could be rearranged to make 3 lanes. And the road is wide enough in spots to probably make 4 lanes. Again, we have a downgrade and a passing lane, but this guy is maintaining. I tried to catch up to him. He's doing 100 kilometers an hour, so I'm not going to rat him out. But he's pulling ahead of me. He's moving on. I mean, they got bills to pay, and time is money, and if the speed limit is set down to 50 kilometers an hour, you know, for a long distance, what are you going to do? If it's set to 90, if it's set to 100, typically these drivers usually do about 110 kilometers an hour, I've noticed, and I think their vehicles are maxed out probably, or governed out at 110, and I do know that they take runs at hills, because some of these trucks are pretty heavy and every ounce of horsepower counts to get up over some of these hills. I think we're about halfway through the park now. That's just a guess, I'm not exactly sure. Pretty close. This guy's doing pretty good now. He's at 90 kilometers again and heading downhill. As I mentioned earlier, we're pretty well halfway through the park, and at 90 kilometers an hour, typically it takes about a half hour to get through. I'm currently about 23 minutes. 23 minutes traveling in the park because I'm staying behind this tractor trailer driver, who is making pretty good time, by the way, on the levels and on the light hills. But you know, so you can imagine the heavy rigs, it would be a major delay if you can't get around. So the other point I wanted to make before I forget is the actual fact that these parks and the way the roads are designed make for awesome speed traps for local law enforcement. I noticed particularly a lot of RCMP and RNC traffic, I guess, in this area. I think RCP covers this area, if I remember correctly. And typically it's one of those places on the island that they tend to congregate, the RCMP, and because it's one of those sweet spots for getting speeders, and it's all for the government coffer, you know, the money that they make through tickets. So you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world, but that's the way it is. And I guess because of the situation and how it's zoned and how it's designed, people sometimes get frustrated and they end up breaking the rules of the Highway Traffic Act, and they sometimes get ticketed. But like I say, this is one of the spots I've noticed as it's a hot spot for RCMP, and I'll see if I can capture maybe one or two in this journey. Now, halfway through, I haven't seen one yet, so I could be wrong. I guess I would be remiss if I did not mention it now. As I said, Terra Nova National Park here in Newfoundland Labrador, Canada. If I didn't mention it earlier, it's an awesome park. I definitely would recommend anyone who is traveling to this area or is planning to travel somewhere in the world to travel to Newfoundland and taking the sights and the scenes and the culture, the heritage and the history of Newfoundland. Right across the island there's many, many things to see and many, many things to do. With some foresight and some good planning, you could definitely have an awesome, awesome vacation here in Newfoundland. And like many of the parks in Newfoundland Labrador, Terra Nova Park is spot on. And I would definitely recommend anyone at any time of the year to travel to Terra Nova Park National Park and take in all that it offers. It's absolutely breathtaking. We have Grossmore National Park on the west coast, which is another awesome national park. Definitely a must-see if you're coming to Newfoundland Labrador. And of course we have provincial parks, which are just phenomenal, beautiful parks, and they range in size and different amenities and services and things provided. But you do some research and you can make a wonderful vacation here in Newfoundland Labrador. And as a footnote as to what I just said previously, this highway runs through the park. However, you know, it's just highway and it's going through basically the forested area. You have to get off the highway on the different byroads here in order to find the treasures and the hidden secrets of Grossmore National Park. I mean, this is just, I guess, the quickest way to get through a park, basically. And the park is huge. If you look on the map, you'll see it's huge. We're right now at the eastern border, pretty much, and getting out of the park there now. But like I say, you have to go off the road to see the park. No, the park is not actually the highway. It runs through it, and there's way, way more than what you're seeing here. Trust me. And it's sometimes well hidden. You have to get off on the designated roads that go from left and right of the highway here, and get down into the nooks and crannies of Grossmore National Park. Getting my parks confused. Grossmore, West Coast. Terra Nova National Park, it's central to eastern, I guess. It's more eastern, I would say. It's if you look on the map, you'll notice it in the northeast corner of the island. Not overly far from St. John's, I would say. Probably the eastern entrance would be 200 plus kilometers, and the western entrance maybe about 60 kilometers further. I think the park is the highway runs through about 60 kilometers of the park, pretty well right through it. But anyway, that's we're out of it now. We're now in Port Blandford. Some awesome scenery down there, but I doubt you can see that with the guardrail. And I'm just rolling on.